Hello and welcome to Monday. It's about 11, pretty much 11 o'clock in the morning right now. And things are kind of feeling weird. Um, I don't know like what I've been doing for the past, I don't know, beginning of this year. I've always had the goal of like focusing on health and fitness for pretty much the entirety of this channel's history, right? Like it's something that's always been on the mind. It's always been something that I've been striving for, I've been working towards, and I've been doing good, right? Like back in 2020, like I was pretty heavy set, I was 160, 165 probably on the high end. And, like over that spring and summer, I ended up losing like 20 pounds just because, I was at home pretty much. I was like changing my eating habits, and I was pretty much like 140 for the bulk of the 2020. And then in like 2021, pretty much maintained that, and I think 2022 was the big year where I started focusing on my health more often than not, right? We started going to the gym only for a couple months, like 3 months of the year. It was like June, July, August, maybe September, something like that. And it was a very fun time. I got super, super into um, some punk rock as I should have. Like, I'm so glad I did that. Yeah, because it was the year Pups, uh, The Unraveling of Pup the Band came out. So like I was listening to that a lot. Like it's great workout music. And then I had been like running daily. Like we had a whole kind of thing where like I would get up super super early and just start running for like woke up like around 6 a.m. The first thing I would do is just like get up, maybe edit or like render out the vlog for the day, and just sprint for like 2 miles. Takes maybe 21 minutes is my like best time or something like that. And we had a good time there. And then like by the end of 2022, I think the lightest I had ever been, I was just 115. I have no idea like how that happened. I remember like one of the big things that happened towards the very end of that year is that I was supposed to meet with a family friend, and I just didn't eat for the day, and like my weight just like crashed pretty much like that much from uh I the ultimate goal was like I was hanging around 125, and like that July, I that's when I finally hit 125. um I had been working out pretty much, striving towards that. And it was the day that I went to Toy Pizza Con back in 2022. That is like, spent the day out walking, so I hit 125. And then we kind of maintained that, and then like it finally dipped to like 115 at the start of 2023. And the big thing that I did, the weighted vest is over there. Like I bought, exercise gear for 2023. I started instead of going outside because it was so cold. I had the exercise gear. I started putting it on. I started doing the elliptical pretty much nonstop. And I don't know. Somehow my weight kind of has been like fluctuating. Like 115 was not a healthy weight for me. I think it is considered a healthy weight, but like for my body personally, it's probably not where I should be. I should be at like 125, 130 ish, right? That's where you should be. So it was like not too bad. It was just like 125 was my ultimate goal. I hit that, and then it's just trying to maintain that. And then once I hit like 115, I'm like, okay, like this is pretty much the lowest I can possibly go, and it would be fun to see that number go lower, but that's kind of stepping into unhealthy territory. 110 is the point where I would be at an unhealthy weight, like underweight rather. So the whole thing is just like, okay, how do we maintain this? How do we kind of get into like 120 would be like a super super really kind of clean weight for me to be. But there's the thing of like weight training. It's like I want to do this, how do I go about being the idealized, like, peak performance of like what I want to be? And there's a whole thing where it's just like, across last year, like, sure, I hit the elliptical as much as I can. I was working out as best I could, but you need people to hold you accountable, right? You need to find like a workout group. Having my brother and some of my buddies, like, we would go to the gym, like 3-4 times a week maybe, and just like, we would hype each other up. We would do good, and like, it's a whole thing, right? But then it's also just like, hey, I want to enjoy being, like, I'm not so sure if you know, but I I have a family that's loves to party. Last technically, yeah, it was yesterday where we were up until like 4 in the morning, just partying away. Um, a lot of booze was had. My bottle of mezcal is pretty low. We killed the bottle of tequila pretty much. My Cointreau is also pretty much, gone. A lot of Chipotle, a lot of sugar, a lot of cookies. I had a cookie today. Cookies are my weakness. Pizza is my weakness. I love food. I love to cook. And that doesn't really like jive with the lifestyle that I want to have. I try to exercise every day. I run on the elliptical for not even run. I just walk. Like, that's pretty much all I do. Like, that's what I consider to be exercise, and like, it does a lot for me, right? I put on 30. Is it 30? It's 35, 35 pounds of weighted gear every single day, like every single day of the week, and I just like go for 5 miles. I do 25 miles a week, over the course of what, maybe 10 hours. So it's like 2.5 miles, but like, you have weighted gear on. So it's just like doing that. And that's not enough, right? I like every year, every couple of months, every few days, I always tell myself, I promise myself, it's like, hey, I will do this. I will hold myself accountable. I will continue to press forward and just do this. And while the issue is not really me being consistent, because I try to be consistent, right? Like, I try to actively work out like that. Again, it's like sometimes I'll take a couple of days off, but like, I'm back to it, right? You do this over and over again. You build that habit. And I haven't gone outside for a walk, haven't like ran or anything. Like, sure, I will go to the grocery store, but that's just right around the block. It's maybe at most a mile, if a full trip, if I like go to the store, go to the grocery, and then come back and just buy whatever I need. That maybe is a mile. And that's not too bad, but it's just like, I used to go for morning walks every day between like 5-6 o'clock in the morning, and just like, that was the schedule. I didn't really have other time when I was like working full time for my office job. It was just like, at the end of the day, I would just like, we're done working, gear up, run. Or back when I like, it's early morning, gear up, run. It's do that, right? And while I'm still pretty consistent with that, it's just like, that has kind of moved on from like going outside and doing that, which might have been healthier. I'm not so sure. But like, it's been going to the elliptical, which is like different muscles, right? I don't stress out my back. I don't like actually sprint or anything. Like, I'll and when I'm doing it, I have weighted gear on, so that might be contributing to it. But I'm like also not weight training. I'm not. There's like 5 pound dumbbells that I just have. I think they're like at my feet, kind of out of reach, though. But like, I don't do that. I don't like do anything else other than run, and it's just like, I need to force myself to do it. But it's so hard to hold yourself accountable for these kinds of things, because it's just like, it takes a bunch of time, right? I can I set aside time like 2 hours a day somehow, because I occupy that time with other things, right? I watch stuff on my phone. I play whatever games that I have, that I can. It's Pokemon Emerald has been my go-to game for the past couple of months now. Before that, it was Fire Red, and that's what I would do on the elliptical, right? Still am doing that, and it's just like, these occupy my time, but like, in a sense, because I'm doing that, I'm finding a way to like distract myself, and that's kind of good. But you're also not in the state where you need to be, like the mental state where it's like, hey, I am here to exercise, right? That is not where I'm putting myself. It's just like I am kind of just focusing on other things. And while that's all fine and dandy, it's like nice to have distraction, you know? Like I've been working on watching the entirety of 30 Rock, and we are on season 5, like halfway through season 5, I think. Uh Let me check, right, if Hulu would load. Thank you. Yeah, we're in season 6. We're on, and there's what, 7 seasons of this show, I think. How do I get to the series details? I don't know. They make these apps so hard to navigate. This button, this button. Seasons. Yeah, there's 7 seasons, and I'm halfway through season 6. So I should be finishing this show, this week, if not next week. Maybe, definitely sometime this month, right? And then Pokemon Emerald, that should be hopefully wrapping up again sometime soonish. I don't know how much time I have in that game left, but once that wraps up, like a whole bunch of stuff is like coming to an end, and it's just like I really need to pivot my focus from doing just running to actively getting going. And I keep saying this to myself, I hold myself accountable for a couple of days, right? And I just fall off because it's too hard. It's like takes up too much time, and I really need to stop doing that. I have an issue where like I'll start a project and I don't finish it, right? I commit hard to something for a little bit, and like this is a perfect example of me committing to something, right? It's day what, 1222 or something like that. Something ridiculous, right? We've been doing this for almost 3.5 years now, and that's wild to think about. But it's just like, is it 3.5 or is it 2021? Yes, 3.5 years. Um, yeah, that's nuts, right? Like I've been doing my best. I've been striving to get everything done that I want to get done, and like, I'll work on something. But like, I had a bunch of websites. That was a whole obsession for a couple of months, right? And like, I still actively use them. I haven't posted to really any of them in a little bit. I talked about wanting to write music reviews about a bunch of songs, a bunch of albums rather. I just haven't gotten to it. Life's been so busy. Hopefully I can start working on that nowish, because have started to calm down. I know there's so much happening, but it's just like, we need to pivot my focus. Like, there's so many things that I have in mind, so many projects that I want to pursue, and health has always been at the forefront. It's been like always in the back of my mind, always like, if it's not the number one thing I've been focusing on, it's usually like number 2 or 3. It's top 5. It's always been top 5, and I've worked hard. I've done my best, but it's just like, food tastes so good. Sugars are so good. I weighed in today, and like, up until like I set my goal for self like end of April, I was mid to late April, I was like just a hair under 130, like 129, 128, and I'm like, okay, the goal was 125. We almost got there, right? The goal was to get fit and healthy from January to April, and that didn't work out. So now what am I going to do? We're at the start of May, right? The first couple of days were pretty busy with doing what have you. And then today, or yesterday and Saturday was just food cooking party. And like, there's always something going on. That there's always some family event that's happening that's like, hey, you want to celebrate. You don't want to like be watching your weight or anything. You want to have like enjoyable food. You want to have fun with your friends. You want to have fun with your family. Enjoy this meal, right? Don't worry about what you need to eat. But if you're not consistent with that, and I'm not consistent, I need to be consistent. I need to force myself. I need to do this. And it's just like trying to get into that grind and that mindset is just a whole thing that I have never really pushed myself to do, right? I enjoy doing this, right? It's just like, when you start running like daily, you get that runner's high. That's something that is just wonderful that you can just do, right? I love playing video games. I love, watching shows, experiencing new music, experiencing the new media, hearing stories that need to be told that I love to experience. All of that, like writing, sharing these thoughts, these ideas, these everything, it's just so much fun. And exercise, well, it can be very enjoyable. The like bar to entry is just a huge mental hurdle that I need to overtake. And like I was going to be exercising right now as I speak, but it's just, there's the big thing that it's just like, hey, I need to wash my sheets, right? Like, my if I lean, yeah, like my sheets are gone, right? Because they're in the wash right now. So I'm like, okay, toss that in. Like I edited, rendered, uploaded the vlog from yesterday, and then like as that's rendering, I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me toss this into. I got a couple minutes left before the camera shuts off. Let me toss this into the washer. So I did, and then it's just like, okay, everything I got ready. I'm geared up. Just takes a couple of seconds. Like everything is in place, but it's just like, let me wait for the washing machine to finish, so I can just toss these in and toss everything else in the dryer. And then it's just like, okay, well, I'm waiting on that. Might as well just like, let me futz around, watch a video on my phone for a little bit. And like, we'll talk about quitting social media. Like I think we did that like a couple days ago, or a couple weeks ago. We'll talk about that maybe tomorrow or something. But it's just like, you get to that point and it's like, I could be doing something, right? But instead I'm just lounging around. I'm wasting time. I'm not committing to this idea. So let me talk about it, right? Let me rant about it. Let me fill this time with something productive. And this is just me yelling at myself, right? Internally, it's like screaming, hey, do this. Like, that's how I got to quit social media, right? It's just like screaming in my head, stop doing what you're doing. Do something else instead. And that's what I really need to focus on, like, going forward with my whole health and fitness thing. I could keep ranting, but the camera's telling me, like, hey, you got less than 2 minutes left. I'm overheating, so I think I'm just gonna cut it for here, right? I'm sorry this is very ranty. Like, we've had a lot of fun these past couple of weeks, days, months, what have you, but I need to start making big changes. And, I try to dive in, do something, like, head first, just go for it. Like, I don't ease myself into it. You gotta jump into the deep end. That's what I need to do. That's what I have been doing, and it works some of the time. I'm not so sure what the, like, success ratio of me doing it, but this is a big one. Like, I've been doing this for 3.5 years. Just jumped off into the deep end. Doing journaling, writing in this techo. I haven't. I tried. Like, I talked about buying this fancy pencil. Talked about buying this techo. This is the 2024 one. The 2023 one's basically blank across the room. We jump off into the deep end and we try to get this stuff done, but I just like need to commit. I need to find a way to get myself to do these things, and I'm working on it. We're getting there, but there needs to be a huge push, and we're gonna start today. I know it's basically the start of May, and while the last week has been busy, I think things will be opening up. We got so much on the docket in the next couple of days, weeks, months, what have you, so we're getting there, but if I want to start making changes, we're starting today. No more tomorrow. Today's the day. With that said, I'm just going to call it here for today. We've rambled on for very long, and I've got less than 20 seconds to end this off, so thank you all for watching. I hope to see you tomorrow. And until then,